Renee Coulter, Damaris Coulter, and Will from Coco's. Welcome, welcome to the stage. Can we have a round of applause, please? For those of you who haven't been to Coco's Cantina on K Road, how can I describe it to you? Well, if you go into the ladies' toilet at Coco's, there's a sign on the back of the door that says, "A person who is nice to you but not nice to the waiter is not a nice person." And that pretty much sums up the ethos of Coco's Cantina. It's a very special place run by Damaris and Renee Coulter, who are sisters, whose family come from up north. They've had Coco's for 6 years. It's 6 years now, isn't it? And going, as they say, from strength to strength. The restaurant's just been on holiday, and I mean that literally. They all went on holiday together. If you've been following them on Instagram, you'll be familiar with their adventures in Tuscany and Rome, and you'll know the hashtag rolling like Romans, because that's what they were doing. But they're back now, and they've spent the last day or so drowning in Marsala, making tiramisu for everyone. So Will, you're going to demonstrate how to make tiramisu, I think, while I talk.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Is it hard?
Moderate. I guess everyone here have tried to cook a couple of things in their kitchens, you know. So I believe, yeah, it's easy enough if you want to make it.
Fingers crossed. Let's see. Okay, you begin. Tell us what you're going to do first.
Well, first of all, I'm missing a pot of hot water.
Could we have a pot of hot water?
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Chef.
Here we go.
There you go, just like that. What I prepared earlier.
Thank you, Chef.
Just on top there, please, mate. On top of that.
It's a massive pot.
It's a big pot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chef.
So first of all, we're gonna make, so pretty much the tiramisu we make at work is 2 desserts in one. So we make something that's called Guiherme, which is kind of like custard, or sabayon. You guys might know more of a French word. All you do pretty much is get some egg yolks. We've got 9 of them there. About 3/4 of a cup of sugar. When making sweets, you know, there's a lot of sugar. Thank you. Vanilla pod split in half, and then we're going to scrape out all the seeds, as I'm sure everyone have done that before. And now all we do, we're going to be whisking that on top of a double boiler. And the idea would be that you want the eggs to go super light and fluffy. And we're going to take them to what the chefs called a ribbon stage, which is when they look pretty
like
much
ribbons.
like yeah, and it's like a custard. So this should take me a couple of minutes.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to ask Renee, how was your break?
Great.
How was the holiday?
Yeah, it was awesome. I can't say that it wasn't great. It was awesome. It was amazing. We had to wring them out a little bit at the end. Not because they were bad, not like wringing their necks, but just because they were, yes, they probably exhausted themselves and took full advantage of, it was like school camp in Rome with 20 to 25-year-olds. So, and a good chunk of them hadn't been, some of them hadn't been away before, all but a couple had never been to Europe. So they were, yeah, they were very excited.
It's a big undertaking, Damaris. When did you get the idea that this would be a good thing to do, that everybody should go to Italy
I don't think
together?
it was ever a good idea. I think it was like, I think because Renee and I try to have, you know, when you work in restaurants, you work so hard constantly, and you get exhausted because you're at the forefront of it every day. You're on the firing line. And so we try and go to Europe once a year or once every 2 years. But then we just had a conversation one night, probably in a lock-in, when they were all half drunk, probably. It was a great idea. And we were like, imagine if we could all go together. And then it just sort of started from there, you know. It was sort of like, well, some people wanted to go overseas anyway. So they were like, well, when I finish at Coco's, that's when I'll leave and we'll have a holiday. And then some of our past staff, one was in Berlin, Amsterdam, and London, and they were like, well, we'll meet you there if you go. And then you know, it was just a snowball effect. You know, it became just a natural sort of organic process. That there was a few of us, and originally I think it was us, wasn't it? It was like the management team.
Yep.
We were like, we should really go, Pataya, myself, Renee and Will, because we do this sort of Italian restaurant all day, every day, and I had lived in Italy. Renee had come to Italy like 3 times to see me, and Will and Pataya had never been. So really it started with a, you know, grand idea that 4 of us went, and it was actually 16 of us from this side, and then 3 from that side, and then our cousin from New York who joined us, and so it became 23 of us at one stage, you know. Booking tables for 23 people in Rome is very hard, you know. It's like, should we talk about
what's happening? Are we past the ribbon stage?
So all I did is whisk that over a double boiler. As you can see, it gone really thick. It is like a custard, looks just like a custard. And when you add a little bit of liquor to that, or we're going to add some masala to that, that's quite a classic dessert of its own. People eat that with fruit, and I'm just going to remove this really quickly. Don't do that at home. We're going to reheat a little bit of masala here in this pot, and I've got a few gelatine leaves that have been soaking for a little while in ice water, and that will help the process of setting it.
Is all of this easy to get your hands on, or do you have a preference for any particular type of marsala, Will?
Yeah, this is more of a sweet masala. You know, it's a fortified wine. It's kind of like port, you know, it's well known. And this specific type, you know, it's pretty easy to get at, you know, good wine shops, you know, and it's a great dessert wine as well. So as you see, that should be coming up to the heat. That's just easy enough. Squeeze out all the water excess out of the gelatin, and just it dissolves quite easily.
Make sure it dissolves. We had like a competition when we were in Italy, and Damaris took a team, part of the staff. I took a team, and our bar manager took a team, and Will was our judge. And I did a Prosecco jelly, and on the fly we made these menus, and then we arrived at the markets.
Renee's team lost, by the way.
And I didn't let my gelatine dissolve enough. I was like, come on, we've got to go, yeah, sweet, and it goes, and then we were straining, trying to get the bits out.
It's pretty disgusting if the gelatine is not dissolved.
Yeah, I didn't get good marks.
And all you do is pretty much whisk that back into that nice custard base. And you're going to have quite a liquid base right now, as you're going to see. But the idea of the mascarpone and why we're adding a little bit of gelatin, we try to make this tiramisu quite light. So we're going to fold in a little bit of like whipped egg whites and some whipped cream as well, which made it super ultra light, you know, and overnight should be, you know, super good. Here we got about 1 kilo of mascarpone.
I see you're using, is that a New Zealand branded mascarpone?
Oh, definitely. We try to, as much as we can, you know, at Coco's, to get our hands on 100% New Zealand made stuff, you know. This is Zenny's use. I think they're down nearby Wellington somewhere. And they've got a really good mascarpone, which is super thick. It goes really well with our tiramisu, specifically because our zabagnoni is a bit quite runny. And all you do now is just a little bit of massaging it, and trying to dissolve that, you know, and try not to spill everywhere. And yeah, in about 30 seconds, you should see that coming to nice.
And with that 30 seconds, I'm going to ask you a question, Renee. Taking a group as that size on holiday isn't something I've ever heard of a restaurant doing, but Coco's do things their own way. Has that always been the ethos since you started?
I think so. We've been blagging it for a little while, and I think because Damaris and I are sisters, we tend to have these amazing ideas, and because there's no external accountant or someone else going, oh no, slow down girls, there's no one else going, oh, and we just we should do that, and then the other one doesn't go no, the other one goes yes, and then so you've got 2 people together going, well, we can do that. Do we have the money to do that? Well, I don't know, let's just do it. And there's never been anyone kind of pulling the reins in, and so the restaurant started because Damaris and I both had always worked in hospo, and then we decided we wanted to work for ourselves because we've worked for some great people. We wouldn't be in the position we are now without working at some great restaurants around Auckland. But we felt like we were ready. And so the Italy trip, starting Coco's, are just examples of kind of no one really giving us some rein in, I think.
Nobody's saying no. Meanwhile, we're having some egg whites here.
Yeah, so the two things I'm just getting ready, just some egg whites whipped soft peaks. So I'm going to show you quite quickly just how to know that's nice and perfect stage. Also, I'm going to whip a little bit of cream as well to fold it through at the ends. So as I said, you know, it's you're trying to get as much air into this recipe. I don't know, we've had a lot of tiramisus, even in Italy, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we had tiramisu every time we went out, lunch or dinner. We'd always order tiramisu, and they were all different, and some were really deconstructed, and some super runny, and some like really like literally like carving nice slab off. And the reason why we chose our tiramisu today, because it's a dish we're super proud of, and all through our trip, even though we ate it twice a day, we still think that ours is totally up there. So, and yeah. So.
Better, yeah, by far.
How many people have had Coco's tiramisu?
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
hands
There's
up,
loyal.
hands
Yeah, there's
up.
my loyal.
Well, it's not far away if you haven't tried it before. So what happens next?
So now you got your base, mascarpone all there. You see the egg's just starting to set. It's nice soft peaks. We're going to fold that in. Folding is, yeah, you don't need to be too gentle. You know, people are a bit too fussy about it. When folding, you know, all you got to do is like, you know, try not to beat the air out of it, you know, but you don't need to be, you know, like that, nah, because folding is pretty much all you gotta do. Incorporate the mix and try to not get rid of all the air bubbles. As you see, this is getting super light, almost like looks souffle base, you know, if you make that. And we're gonna add the rest of the nice whipped cream as well in there. And that's the base for our tiramisu.
Stage one completed.
Stage one completed. That
Damaris,
easy.
Coco's doesn't so much have customers as a community. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've always sort of been hugely lucky. AA Girl says you get the customers you deserve. And I think that that's probably, you know, we're stoked with that because we think that our customers are amazing, you know, like you say, our community is amazing. We get neighbours, we get regulars. We've seen people who have come into the restaurant pregnant and they're still bringing their 5-year-old, you know, kids in who measure themselves on the wall. We have people who sometimes will sit outside and have a drink and you know that they're skint and you're like, just don't worry about it. If you can't afford dinner tonight, have staff dinner. You know what I mean? Just be here at 5 o'clock and take your plate up when you're finished. Like, for us, our restaurant is much more than, I think Ben was saying, you know, it is an extension of your home, and I think that he's absolutely right. You have to run it like a business. You have to pay the bills, you know, the tax man comes knocking and the suppliers need to be paid and your staff need to pay their rent, but there's no point being in a restaurant that you primarily don't want to be in first, because then it's just, you know, you can't fake magic, you know, and that's what we have. We're hugely lucky that Renee and I are sisters, so we don't even sort of really need to talk to each other. We just sort of have these sort of subliminal decisions, and then Will and Pattaya, almost like sort of brothers that were separated at birth. You know, I don't even know where your family ended up taking you away from us, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, it all sort of works, and then we're lucky that everyone that comes there, whether it's sort of regulars that come for happy hour or people that just come for meatballs on their way to their kids' play, or if it's people that are coming for Nana's 80th, or we always say that Coco's is for everyone, it's just not for every occasion, you know, and so sometimes you might, don't bring Nana on her 80th on a Friday night at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? That's going to be a fucking disaster. But bring Nana on a Tuesday and we will make Nana feel like it's not her 80th, it will be her 21st again. You know what I mean? And so it is like, and so that's how we sort of explain Coco's. But, you know, don't get us wrong, it's a no-nonsense restaurant. You know, it is, if you were coming to my house for dinner, you would be expected, it's a reciprocal invitation. We've got an understanding. You come in and do your bit, and that is be polite, understand what we do and enjoy it, and I'll do my bit, and that's give you a good night and something great to eat, and I'll give you a safe environment, and I'll give you great lighting where your husband looks even better, you know, and that's what we can do, and we hold hands with you. That's all we do. But I think that in the past, New Zealanders have, you know, and probably myself, like my partner thinks I'm a nightmare when I go out, and I'm like, no, I'm like super easy, I'm super, and he was like, you are like so fussy. But we've got to that stage where New Zealanders' food culture, we sort of went from nothing to everything, and so we haven't caught up in between. And so Coco's came at a really nice time where it was like, no, we don't do bookings, and you come here for this. You're not going to get white tablecloths and sort of fussy service. You're going to get slick, knowledgeable, no nonsense. It's going to be fast, it's going to be loud, but it's going to be delicious, it's going to be safe, it's going to be awesome, and you are going to have a like-minded group of people around you, you know, and so I'm rambling.
And delicious tiramisu. What's happening next?
Sure, now we're going to make some coffee. As TK was saying, you know, instant coffee. Funny enough, instant coffee was created by a New Zealander. So,
Was it?
An interesting piece of trivia.
Yeah.
And here's a good use for instant coffee.
So we're going to make quite a strong coffee. I've got about 100 grams of really good brand instant coffee that you can get hands on. And also...
We won't say that dirty brand. Don't say it.
And a little bit of alcohol. That's the one thing we noticed about tiramisus everywhere. They're lacking the main layer, which is not even the filling. It's actually that coffee punch, you know, and that alcohol punch. And Damaris always says, you know, like tiramisu got to be like you're having a coffee shot, you know. After you had it, you know, you kind of like boozed out because all the alcohol in it, you know, and you're like awake because all the caffeine in it, you know, and it's true. And
but that's what tiramisu means, hey? It means pick me up. That's what it translates to.
So you're getting a
yeah,
buzz.
so you should be like, you know,
so
bada bing.
we go a little bit crazy on masala, which we use for the base, and then we add little Mexican help here, little kalua, old coffee liquor, but it proves to give that extra layer of coffee flavor in it. Yeah, go crazy.
Go crazy.
Knock yourselves out.
About 100 mils, I'll say, and about 200 mils of this. To drink this, it's pretty nasty. It's not good at all. But the idea is we got lady fingers, which are dehydrated, you know, sponge cake pretty much. And they've got nothing but sugar and dry, you know, nothing to them. So
Try nothing.
The best thing you
got
can
nothing
do
to them.
is dunk them in coffee.
exactly. And if it's hot, you know, it will be quite quickly for them to go soft. If the coffee's cold, you take quite a while to get, take your time, get them soaked, you know, they got to go a little bit soft, you know, if they're hard, you know, it's going to be average tiramisu. I won't eat it. And then all we're going to do is we're going to try to layer this beautiful bowl that we got in today as best as we can. And we're going to, we made it yesterday for all of you. The bowl is too small, so we didn't manage to get 2 layers. Apologies. But today we're going to try to just make 2 neat layers, and I'll just start dipping them here, layering them there, and then once I finish that, I'll get you guys to have a look.
We're going to be the judges, are we? Well, you
Yeah,
both have
payback.
certainly eaten enough tiramisu to be able to make an informed decision.
I actually don't drink coffee, but I eat tiramisu. Our tiramisu.
So Renee, Damaris was talking about community. K Road, Kauranga Happy Road is your community. That's where your home is, where Coco's is. We're hearing a lot over the last few months about how K Road is changing, how it might be changing in the future. How does Coco's feel about that?
Protective. I mean, you can't. It is going to change. It's in the CBD. There is the you know, the unitary, you know, the plan that's happening for our city, and everything has to change. There are some elements that, you know, the safety, the cleanliness, those elements frustrate us, but the elements that sometimes took some of our guests 3 or 4 years to come to us. They were worried about prostitution, they were worried about crime, they were worried about their cars getting broken into. Those were initial barriers. And so, you know, we understand that those things need to be looked at. But yeah, when you want, Damaris and I are big believers in owner-operator businesses, and K Road's famous for having, you know, it's got studios, it's got art galleries, it's got radio stations, but it's also got some really amazing artisans, and they're not necessarily artisans that we hold hands with every day, like food producers, but they're artisans in their own right. They're fashion designers and jewellery makers, and we do, when you hear, you know, when you see and look across and you see, you know, just even in 2 weeks, we go away and we come back and there's 1, 2, 3 sites sold or changing hands. Yeah, it makes you wonder what's happening and ask questions, and people, because we're kind of quite well connected, people talk to us and want to know if we know anything, and so we purposely chose that area, even though we've worked forever in Ponsonby. We chose to be on K Road because we wanted to do things differently, and we'd found that when we'd moved around restaurants and people recognised us, they expected the same service that they got when we were working at another restaurant or another cafe. And so we purposely separated ourselves, and we made a choice to go to K Road, 1, because we wanted to be there, but 2, because we wanted to do things differently. And so we didn't want people to go, oh, just do what you used to do because that's how I like to be served. And we're going, no, Coco's does things differently. So we don't want all our artisan friends and owner-operators to not be able to afford to live on a street where they've been for 20 years, doing a great job. So, yeah. Yeah.
I want to check on these.
So I've done the first layer. As you can see, I've just layered nice little biscuits kind of neatly there. Doesn't really matter, no one will notice after it's built up and soaked there for a little while. And then we're going to pour a little bit of the mix just to cover.
Enjoying?
You've already got yours, that's good.
This is becoming interactive now because the tiramisu is making its way through the room.
I hope it's good what you guys are eating. And if anyone finds any eggshell in it, you know, consider yourself lucky.
What do you make tiramisu for 300 in? Like, what did you put it in, Will?
Oh, we did it
in 10 batches.
We made into little, like straight into the little molds, because I thought it was going to be just easier for everyone to handle, you know. And
save one for me. Don't give them all away. And those ones that people are eating are garnished with edible flowers, are
edible
they?
Flowers.
Edible flower every day.
From the Secret Garden. Is that where they came from?
Yeah, it is. So,
actually, Ben, you use them, don't you?
He's
too busy.
Yeah.
He's too busy eating his.
And now, Will, you're building up the layers.
So,
you're just doing layer upon layer.
Like a trifle, you want a couple of layers of it.
Nobody's listening. They're all eating the tiramisu.
I hope it's good, eh? Yeah, like a trifle, you want to build a couple of layers. You know, if you got enough, 3. If you got enough height, you know, it always looks pretty around the sides. And we're going to do the same as we did first, you know. We're going to dip them nicely, and then we're going to pour an extra layer on top, and then dust with some nice cocoa. And, and that's ready to go. But as those ones, we always found that they're always better the next day. Like most foods, I guess, you know. They're always better the next day, so...
Has tiramisu been on the menu at Coco's from the beginning?
From day dot, yeah.
Day one. There's always been a few trials and errors, you know.
Yeah. I think I tasted every tiramisu for like the first 3.5 years. It was like I was sick of tiramisu.
She's still skinny. I've tasted them all and see, you know, it's not working as good for me. Yes, sweet. So you've got...
I've got your
cloth.
cocoa.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you've got that one.
So we got the next layer done up, and we're going to try to carefully pour a little bit more on top.
Whoa.
And then nice and try just to not overflow. And then...
You're on the edge there with the overflow, Will. But that's a good look, I think.
Yeah, I think that's rustic. And then we're just going to...
Good quality cocoa, you say. It's got a good colour.
Yeah, has to be. You can taste the difference. I guess everything we use, you know, it's... you know, Chef Ben will say, you know, it's all about what you use, you know, and the quality of the products you use, you know, will make a lot of difference at the end result, you know.
Delicious. Say voilà.
Really good. Can I borrow that one?
Thank you so much. You didn't close the restaurant tonight to come,
No.
did you?
No. We'll go and check on them later.
No, Pattaya's there.
Taya's there, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for making time and leaving your service for a few hours to come and do service here. It's been a pleasure. Damaris and Renee and Will from Coco's.
Thank you.
How are we going to get this?
Huh?
Thanks for the tiramisu.
Awesome, girl.
Yeah, that's
It's your one.